I'm that girl who's curious to hear your feedback on that series that we did between moving from the old Earth 3D into the new Earth 5D. And wasn't that an extraordinary experience to have for that journey, to be able to hear from 10 different collectives, different sessions, different subconsciouses through different vehicles, and the same questions being posed to them. So how are you going with that? The feedback that I'm hearing is fantastic, and that people are really still now coming to this big one question, the consistent one question people are coming back to me with, that's burning their desires to be able to understand more, which is, how come it is that one of my favorite followers and influencers who seem so knowledgeable, they've written books, they've done all this sort of stuff, why is it that they're not sharing that information? Because it's so clear in all of those sessions, those 10 sessions, they were very, very firm and clear what was to come. And so this is what's really confusing you guys still, is how come your favorite influencers aren't sharing that information? And it is a big step when you start moving away from your stepping stones, or start acknowledging and seeing that your stepping stones were just part of your journey, and that you need to sort of move forward, step forward. And a lot of you are seeming to be really struggling to understand that you're more advanced than your own influences. And this is weird for you guys, because what do you do with that next? Who do you follow? Who do you binge watch? So there's that. So it's very confusing for you, because you're like, if they're not sharing this information about the new Earth, because lots of people are saying it's already here, blah, 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 blah. What else potentially could they be saying to you that's not quite the full truth, the true full perspective? And so instead of labeling everyone as bold-faced liars, we could just say potentially they are the collectives that cannot shift to the new Earth. We know lots of different collectives will experience different things from their perspective of their information that they're allowed to hear. We know that many people who are reptilian starseeds, for example, cannot ever be aware consciously that a new Earth, the new Earth, is a new planet. We have heard this so many times in sessions, but we understand that many people are jumping into hearing and discovering their sessions now, and haven't had, a few thousand hours just up their sleeve to be able to listen to the 500 or 600 sessions that we've shared publicly. So I thought that this would have been a really easy digestible series to be able to just focus on the main concepts, right? And it was great to be able to hear it from those different vehicles. We also got to hear some extra, and we also got to learn and hear some extra information, right, about why certain animals are here to be of service, to protect us and be with us constantly, and they will become very anxious if they can't be of service. They're so dedicated to being loyal and to be right there as support for us, that when they have a slight distance from us, they become very stressed out, right? Because they know that they're supposed to be here to be our companions, to be our support beings. And as soon as they are slightly off their mission and purpose, they become very anxious, right? And you can say that about a lot of people. I know a lot of people who are not stepping up to their full potentials, who are finding themselves very anxious, and they can't understand why. So, we're not that different, are we? So from the animal kingdom in some regards. So it is very interesting what is coming out in private sessions now. I did a very long private session yesterday, and it was really obvious what they were trying to say about, because they're ramping up everyone's physical energies into a higher frequency that is not truly our natural, organic. Most people are not able to raise their vibrations as required. And so it's been artificially poured onto them and pushed. And so when you're pushing something, often there's a lot of resistance. And so when you don't do your inner work and emotionally heal from things, when you're having this density be forced out of you. It looks like colds, it looks like a lot of Ascension symptoms, because that's what's happening to you. You're being squeezed, purged, wrung out like that sponge, and, you know, given a good cleaning out, but you're being densified to put so much big pressure into you of high frequency vibrations. You sort of gonna have to force yourself to release that density and go up higher, go up higher. And a lot of you who are not doing your inner work are coming down with lots of colds and a whole lot of stuff because it's been squeezed out of you that way. And we're hearing that is what they're saying in sessions. So, you know, there could be a fine line between, well, am I removing the density from others around me, and that's why I've got the colds, or is it your personal upgrade? So it's really good to discover this in sessions, because what I'm saying is very broad from what they are saying in sessions versus individual people. So don't get triggered if you're feeling triggered for whatever reason. So, you know, it's very purposeful, and we love upgrades. We know every time we're sick, it's an upgrade, right? We're purging out the density that potentially we haven't been able to pinpoint ourselves. So it's significant what's happening at this time. So they were sort of showing me that healing is like an onion, right? And so you could say that the onion layers is all the different timelines-ish, different, like, you know, the onion has the core center in it, and you could say that's your light being body, because it's so light. Basically, when you get that inside slither, the core of an onion, unless it's like rotten, when you get the last like core of the onion, you could hold it up to the light and it's transparent, right? But when you get an onion from the supermarket and it's got that brown outer shell, you can't see through it, right? You know that there is many layers to that onion, and you know that when you do your inner work, and when you know that when you go and get to that core of the onion, you're going to cry. Each level layer, you're going to cry. You know, you're going to be doing a lot of purging, a lot of, you know, stuff as we get closer and closer and closer to the core of who we are. If we were onions. So anyway, so what they were sort of saying was, each time you take off a shell, a layer of the onion, as you are releasing that density and doing your inner work, it's kind of like each time you remove one layer, then you have a new layer to look at and you're ready to explore. And so, you know, there's so much references I could say about, you know, truly going within and really releasing all that no longer serves you. You're wanting to be a lighter body being. You're wanting to reflect on all of the traumas from your life. And this is the hardest part. When you don't remember certain accidents or certain events that have emotionally and physically scarred you. And what they were saying is, you could have, with amongst all of these layers to get to your inner self, all of these bruised parts and damaged parts. And, you know, it's not until you kind of break away some of those layers that you will realize, oh, a little worm got in there somehow, kind of thing, right? So I don't know actually if worms go into onions, but anyway, it is like our inner work. So they will, we can always go in and find new layers and new levels of healing that needs to be looked at and released and explored. And every time I do a session, I'm finding more broken bones that they have helped me with, that they are healing now, because I have sort of done enough of the emotional work to reflect back on certain times in my life to be able to heal from it emotionally, and then to be able to truly put it all to bed, you physically heal from it as well. And so this is interesting to get to a point, to get to that level of that onion, of that inner work, to be able to address it, identify, acknowledge it, and then be able to emotionally release it, let go of that old layer. But you also have to heal from it. And what they were saying is, while time is not linear, when they are healing us from you know, past stuff, we are physically still holding on to this pain, right? So I can definitely feel the broken wrist, definitely feel the broken ankle. And as they've been working on it, is quite interesting, because time is the illusion, and our bodies are still holding on to a lot. So not only are we holding on to a lot of emotional past, which is still very much present within us, our bodies are also doing the same thing, but we don't identify with that. What they were saying very clearly is we hold on and suck up a lot of our emotional traumas and experiences, and also physical traumas and experiences, and we will not let them go because we're not wanting to identify with them, right? So we're holding on to a lot of layers of injuries, and we're not noticing. We've formulated and we've formed and molded our bodies and our mindsets to be blinkers to what's really going on for us. And so when we keep seeking out those influences for their information, we are still ignoring ourselves. We're not looking at our own behaviors, our own personal experiences. We're not doing our own sessions. We are distracting ourselves fully with outside distractions. And what they were sort of saying was we're so focused on comparing ourselves to others to match and be like other people, we've completely lost our authentic expression of self. And we are trying to fit in to the illusion of connectiveness, but ultimately we are already connected in and we are already one. What we're here doing in the 3D is finding our individual soul song, our individual expression of our souls, and our interpretation of the entirety of our life experiences, and how we have unfolded that, how we've healed from that, how we've learned from that, how we've overcome that, and how it's all been to empower ourselves from those experiences to then be able to identify with individual people where they're at on their journey, have compassion for them as they are working through it. In the session, they were saying it's so funny that constantly they are telling you all to love yourselves and love others, and yet you're still not participating in showing and sharing love. And they're saying, it's so random. They're saying that, you will see this beautiful post on social media or whatever, and think, oh, that's lovely, and scroll through. You will not participate in sharing your love for it. You may occasionally like something, but you're not always sharing your gratitude and love for things. And so it kind of confuses them, because they're like, this is the message that you have to show love, empower each other, empower yourselves. And when they feel into why are certain people not wanting to participate, why are you not supporting others, loving others, empowering others with your acknowledgement of their hard work or their insightfulness or whatever, lots of people still don't want to show support in case they're judged by someone else. So it kind of feels very frustrating for them to be empowering you so much with this information, to then be so confident that you could share it freely with others and not have this attachment to how other people will take this information. You don't own this information. You've never owned this information. These sessions are not anyone's. And so when you're sharing these sessions, you don't need to speak for these sessions. You don't need to have ownership of these sessions. And if someone has a massive reaction because they don't like what's in these sessions, that's not on you. It's never been on you. But a lot of the collectives are looking in at your approaches and attitudes to how your lack of confidence in being able to share these sessions, because you're afraid that you're going to have like a reaction or hate or something. It's so confusing to them, because and I know and they know that this is higher dimensional information. It's not ego-based information, and it's advanced. It definitely is advanced. And so for people to not share the advanced information, it's kind of like you are also then not allowing the truth to come out. And this is what they're really making a lot of people be focused on, is sharing the truth versus just letting everyone be drowned in the sea and the ocean of disinformation. So, they're really pushing people to share the high truth. And they're making people not be able to hear disinformation anymore, and also not be able to speak as much disinformation. they were saying that people who do have intuition, but say, for example, are listening to the news, the news readers, it's not their script, they're reading from a teleprompter, and they trust that the writers and the journalists that are writing the information are award-winning, fantastic, the best. And so this gives them the confidence to believe in what they're reading and what they're trying to sell you, because their belief system on the information that they're being provided for. And so when you're intuitive, you're feeling their belief and their trust in the information they're sharing is legit. They haven't done their own research. They're trusting. They're getting paid amazing amounts of money, and so is the writers, and that makes them believe that this information is true and valid. And so when we are trying to use our discernment and intuition, and we're not getting a sense, they're full of it, because they fully believe in it, right? So when you have people who fully believe in themselves and their own egos and their own channeling and all this sort of stuff, you can't, you can feel that, right? You can feel that they are very authentic with their belief systems of the new earth is here and blah, 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 blah. So this is what really confuses people. So this is why it's always so recommended to have your own sessions and listen to your own self, listen to your subconscious. They're not going to lie to you. They're not going to sell you shit. They're going to sell you the truth. They're going to tell you the truth. And not only will they tell you the truth, you will get the full senses of what they are wanting you to know about coming events. And that's undeniable. And that is like unspoken senses and energy. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I think this is why a lot of people don't want to do sessions, because what if they have to then truly accept the information that's coming out of lots of other people's sessions? It's a lot for people to do these sessions. And everyone I know is still processing their own senses and information that they got from their own sessions with that series, because it's so undeniable. Yes, consciously we could be, oh, that's crazy, I must be whatever. But when you keep listening, you know it's not your conscious mind speaking at all. And this is scary for those people who want to control and think that their conscious mind is the boss. I create my own reality, they say, with scare and not so much certainty. When you say, we'll have a session, then have a session, and just for shits and giggles, see what the subconscious says about that. They don't want to have a session. They don't want to relax into a session because they're too terrified of the information. Because what's next? How the hell does one person prepare for a shift? So my frustration, and it seems like it's the subconscious's frustration as well, is that these people, these influencers who are supposed to truly prepare people for what's coming, they've got so taken off path with their ego and their whatever to excuse, excuses to say that they're giving disinformation to people. They're not preparing their followers for what's to come. And that what kind of really irks me, it makes me feel really dense and sad and frustrated, is that I can feel into a lot of people who are following these big influencers, and when the big shifts come, they will then assume that they've done something wrong and that the old earth experience is a punishment. I don't like that at all, because the old earth experience is not a punishment, but these influencers have distracted with bullshit and whatever for so long that they're not preparing their followers. And if you're noticing that you have been following people who are still saying the new earth is here, cool, you do you, but are they preparing you for what's to come? Because if you still think that you create your own reality because your favorite guru is saying that, how are you going to feel when then you realize you've created the laser event? If you think that way, it's going to be harder. And life is already hard enough, right? And the truth is so much easier to hear. And yes, there's a roller coaster, but it's the truth, and you can hear it in sessions, and you can understand your sessions more when it comes out through you. So I'm a big advocate for the truth, and I'm not that impressed with people who give half truths or are limited and blah, 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 blah. I just think, I know a lot of people's life contracts are to share the bigger truth, but they're so scared. They're so scared to share the bigger truth because, there might be some haters. Well, let's not focus on the haters because they're always going to be there. Let's focus on the people that you're going to be empowering with sharing your truth just for shits and giggles, right? I know it's a big step forward, and I know we're all afraid to, speak the truth because we're so surrounded with bullshit that it's almost untrendy to speak the truth, right? I got to think about that for a bit. Don't want to think about it. I just want to blindly follow other people, is what most people are saying. They don't want to have their own sessions because then what are they going to do with it? Well, who's going to guide them then? Who's going to be their guru? Who's going to be their influencer when no one's talking about the new earth being the new planet, right? Fun fact, why don't you just spend all of your time meditating and going within and feeling what you should be doing next to help empower humanity and be on purpose and on mission and, do what we're supposed to be doing here, just see how that feels for everyone. So I know that this is a lot. I know that trying to balance and live a normal life and also know what's to come is quite overwhelming. It 100% is. And we don't have to be in constant panic. Is it today? Is it today? Is it today? We can just know that when it does occur, we will understand the bigger perspective of what needs to happen. We can trust that we have many other lifetimes to experience moving forward, that death is not the end of us. It is merely a next chapter, a next page in our life contracts, life journeys of our soul essences, experiences. We can have the bigger perspectives and have balance and neutral with everything that's coming without losing our minds, right? So it is not about being preppers or doomsdayers. It's about just being in balance to know when we're supposed to be of service on the old earth, we totally can be. And be compassionate and understand what everyone's going through, because we've already gone through it ourselves. We've got the luxury of, freaking out prior to the event. So then when it does actually happen, we can support people. And what does that support look like? Potentially not talking about the new earth, but being able to support them through their own emotions to be able to feel into what's going on. There's a lot to be said. And I take this work really seriously. I don't really treat it as entertainment, and I don't sort of treat it as anything else but a privilege to be able to talk to the subconscious and be able to hear from their higher perspective how we should prepare ourselves moving forward. And they can't say it enough. Love yourselves and love each other in this really important time, and be a participant and not just be this person that's too afraid to speak their own truth, whatever that is. Just even acknowledging to yourself first and starting to share your own feelings and thoughts and what's truly going on with your body instead of ignoring it and dismissing it. That's a huge step forward, isn't it? It's a lot. And when we're so busy trying to distract ourselves with healing and helping the world and other people, for example, we often forget about ourselves and what's truly going on for us. Knowing about the events coming is scary and it's very emotional, especially when we feel into it. It can definitely make us all cry, right? Like no one wants this. And I'm not yay, hooray, can't wait for the laser. Yeah, I can definitely wait for the laser because it's going to be horrible. It's going to be so chaotic for many people who are here because they're going to be fucking terrified. And I have never been able to, be 100% okay with that. I know it's all purposeful and I know it's all life contracts and stuff, but I also just feel like, God's sake, it's so unnecessary. That whole thing is so unnecessary. But, there's growth and expansion from it. So, I've asked so many times in sessions, lots of clients would love to be able to use their free will and ask their subconscious, can we cancel that? Because that sounds really fucking scary. And I agree. And I always am like, when I'm asking the subconscious, because I'm wanting to change, I would love to hear it change. Oh yeah, it's going to be fantastic now. No distractions. It's all going to be wonderful. There has to be distraction. We understand it is a lot of exit points is for those distractions. Doesn't mean that we're fans of it. We have to be acceptant of it and be able to trust that the guides are making the best life experiences for those souls and try to cope. And it was really interesting what they were saying about lots of heart attacks and a lot of problems with hearts. And they were just, they just sort of like slipped it out as, we're trying to really firmly wake up people now. And, we're really getting their attention firmly. And that looks like a lot of heart problems and a lot of heart attacks. And, we're doing that to them. And it's like, God, you guys are monsters, right? But no, they're not monsters. They're trying to get people's attentions to focus on the heart. What does the heart represent? Love. Suddenly love your body, suddenly care about yourselves, because you're so distracted from everything else around you. You're not focusing, is what they're trying to say to those people who are having heart problems and having heart attacks, even having exit points. It sounds like what they were saying is they're doing some harvesting. And so all of those people that are just not expanding their hearts, not expanding their mindsets, are closing down, not wanting to open their hearts. Heart attacks, right? That's what it looks like, heart attacks. So, it's not fun. But life contracts all purposeful. We can't save anyone's soul. We can't save anyone from having those experiences when they're choosing to not be open, when they're closing their hearts. They can't love themselves and they refuse to love others, or they just don't know what love is. They don't know that it's safe to love. They can't trust love. It's hurt them so many fucking times before. So potentially they will refuse. So there's so much to be said about that, right? And it's so literal, so literal. So many people are having massive heart problems right now. Myocarditis, I'm not even going to butcher those words, sorry. But it's all to focus on the heart. Focusing on the heart is a representation of focusing on love, loving self, loving others. And they couldn't be more clear about they wanting this now. And if there is anything that needs forgiveness to be let go from you for anyone, anything, if you're still struggling to find forgiveness, this is for anything, you're still resentful, got something frustrated, if you can't forgive everything that's ever happened in your life and everyone that's ever happened in your life, there is your inner work. And it's, sometimes we've had some really shitty things happen to us. But when we are not able to forgive, we're impacting ourselves and not so much them, right? So really see what we're doing with our mindsets, what we're doing with our bodies, and what we're doing with our integrity and intentions. They can't scream out, love yourself and love others any more louder, right? Like they are, it's intensive. And yet so many people are still choosing to not love others, not respect others, not empower others, not support others. And, this is again, really far away from where they're wanting us to be. All choices, but what's coming is coming. And, this is a really important time to really go in and really release those onion layers and those tears and get to that core of who you are and celebrate who you are. You're fantastic. You always have been. But when we're doing learning and lessons in a 3D life, we don't always feel fantastic, do we? And others don't feel fantastic either. But that is part of the lessons. That's the journey. That's the fun of it, they say. So remember, you're unbreakable. Remember that you are so powerful with your mindsets and your energy and your integrity and your intentions. And so when you show some love to people, boy, that can ripple out and make a huge change in the world. And when you can love yourself, even more so. So my friends, I do love you and I believe in you and I can see so much greatness in all of you. And if you could just step it up a little bit and believe in yourselves as well, it would be fantastic. So more empowerment and, treat yourselves. I've been having this profound Epsom salt bath. I think I had so much Epsom salts in there, it almost turned into the Dead Sea, where there's so much salt in that you float. But, I'm trying to do different things to honor my body and to nurture the vessel because I neglected this meat sack for so long. And I realized that those were all my choices. And so, we all do each other the best way we can. But it's time to really empower ourselves and really be in alignment of our life purpose. It's significant. We are very significant. And I would never want any of you to forget that. I love you guys. Have a great day.